My sister-in-law is one of the most ungrateful people that I have ever met. She wants me to do everything for her for free. I work in law, and let me ask you this. If you needed a haircut from one of your friends, would you ask them to do it for free? Of course not. So why would I give away all my services to her for free? She's ridiculous, and I'm going to expose her. I know this is long, but I really appreciate anybody who takes the time to read this. I don't even know where to begin. Let me give you a bit of background. I'm 31 female, and my brother, we were raised by extremely religious parents. They are Christians and raised us to have the same values as them. They wanted me to be married and stay at home to have children, but I wanted a career, and to get an education instead. We live in the United Kingdom, and I work hard in high school and got a scholarship for law school, while getting a loan to cover the extra expenses. I left my parents' house at 18 and cut them off. I married Caleb, 31 male, when we met at university and started off as friends. But he asked me out not long after, and we've been in a romantic relationship till I graduated with my LLB degree and completed the LPC course. During my early days practicing law, under a supervised training contract, I got engaged to him. Over time, my client base just grew substantially, and safe to say I'm one of the top 15 solicitors in the city. My big brother works as an in-house investigator and helps me with property investigations. Instead of collaborating with agencies, I preferred him to accompany me. Besides, he only used to have irregular stunt gigs, which weren't sufficient for him, so I helped him with a full-time job. Neither of our families knew about my relationship with Caleb at first, since we did not want anyone to get the wrong idea if it did not work out. After a few months, we agreed. It was time. And I met his older sister, Hayley, who was then married to her husband, Sam. She quit her job when she gave birth in order to take care of their children until he was old enough for preschool like they planned it. Hayley was very close with Caleb, but she also used to be close to me and continued all the way when me and Caleb got married. When it comes to my mother-in-law and father-in-law, I did not like them from the start as they possess an air of self-importance. They're one of those people who start showing a doctor they know their knees or shoulders or the weird mole on their back at the parties. They'd pay a stranger, but expect freebies from their own. This is how I describe my in-laws. Now here's where it all starts. As I'm friends of Hayley, I helped her often with her kids, so I noticed a change in her behavior. She was talking less than usual and seemed overall much less happy. Worried for her, I called her one day and asked if anything was wrong, and she told me that Sam wanted more kids and was putting pressure on her until he eventually decided to get separated. The two of them had been together since they were 21, married since they were 28, and were coming up on their 7th-year anniversary. Me and Caleb went to her house and just to see how she was, and she let us inside looking frightened. I had been planning on staying quiet and letting them have their moment before leaving with them, but then she asked what I thought about the situation, basically asking if I thought she deserved this, if Sam was in the wrong, etc. I told her that nobody deserves a situation like this. I naturally wanted to help her since she was like a close friend to me. I said that I could talk to Sam, but she refused because she forbid her from going outside or talking to her family about this, as he thought that we were a bad influence. He told her that if she disrespected him, he would divorce her altogether and make sure that she never believed in happiness again. I reassured her that he could not do that and offered her help to file a divorce if she wanted one. I wanted her to have a proper solicitor who was competent, proficient, and qualified, much like myself, though my field is real estate law and finance, and I'm well familiar with family law as well, having taken a course in it at school. So I asked her to go down to the CMS's office tomorrow and fill out a form for child support. Even if he chooses to not be in her and their child's life, he's financially responsible to support it. She just needed to give information about her, her child, and Sam, and any relative details to assess child support eligibility and the financial responsibilities of her and Sam. Long story short, Throughout the divorce proceedings, alimony, and securing better child support, she had no intention of compensating me for the extensive support I provided her. I told her that since she's family, I was willing to give her a discount of 40%, but she straight away said no. That's not necessary since she took my case as pro bono. Well, that's not true, but I did not argue with her for the sake of our friendship. Just after 8 months, she married another man, Maxwell, who agreed to be the father of her child from her first marriage. Their relationship quickly went downhill, and I personally think that they should never have gotten married, but oh well. A few months ago, I was with Caleb at the grocery store. Hayley approached me and asked me to represent her for her second divorce because Maxwell had been very abusive to her, often hurting her by bringing up her first marriage whenever they had a disagreement. She made it all very believable. I went through my regular speech of trying to reconcile and go through counseling, etc., but she said that she needed this divorce. I showed her my rates, and she seemed to be hit with the 1 hour consultation is $100. She just responded saying, "Hey, I can't really afford this kind of solicitor fees. Was kind of hoping you could just help me as a friend. Sorry to bother you." I obviously refused point blank to help further other than give a discount, as I felt this to be exploitative. I understood that she seemed to be in a tough spot, but I could not bring myself to provide assistance without fair compensation, especially when I have to cover my student loan, including the fee from the LPC course, which is expensive and not included in the tuition. So it was time for freebies to stop. I responded with something professional and tactful, declining to give it unpaid advice. I'm no good at wording stuff like that, but something that politely said, "No, I don't work for free." Hayley automatically had insult issues with me, saying that she finds this very stingy and the fact that I not want to help her said enough about where our friendship was headed. I patiently explained to her, no need to be dramatic. Put yourself in another career like a bricklayer or a gardener. Now imagine somebody asking you to come build a wall or put together a rose garden because they don't want to spend the money to pay somebody to do it. You quickly see how ludicrous self-entitled the request is, especially given the fact that the apartment you looked at was out of your price range. Likewise, you need to pay if you want a solicitor. And we're looking at a minimum of 10 hours. Are you happy to proceed at that basis? If yes, then sign the agreement form and I can start on today's date. Well, she laughed and got a little rude to me. We'd been friends for that many years at this point, and it all went out the window because of this. I was pretty mad, and in a moment of pettiness I said, "I'm not surprised your marriage did not last. What nerve do you have to say something like that? I can't believe you have the audacity to demand my services when you did not compensate me for the help I provided during your first divorce." Her jabs and insults evolved after that, saying that my marriage also would not last. Well, that I wasn't good enough for Caleb, and that she was surprised that we were still together. She went livid, screaming at me and Caleb to leave, which we did. Caleb was annoyed at me after this, saying that while we had our differences, that was not the time for it. I apologized to him when we got home because I genuinely had not meant to say it when I did. But I refused to apologize to Hayley because what I said was true. Hayley then turned everyone in the family against me. My in-laws started messaging me, asking me to apologize because I was, quote, heartless for saying that when Hayley was grieving and that I should be the big person and just own up. It became an unspoken expectation from the family that I should not ask for money from somebody who just recently started a job, because Hayley has a lot of existing commitments to manage. It's as if I owed them professional services and my expertise, even though she most certainly had the means to pay. But I don't owe anyone anything and have no obligation to spend my time helping her. I can see a moral obligation if somebody's life were at risk, like a doctor or a nurse helping an unconscious person in a store, but nobody dies if a divorce doesn't happen. This expectation's pretty universal across my occupations, and I get asked this all the time. So, during a family dinner that was arranged by Caleb during the weekend, I told everybody a white lie that her issue was beyond my scope of knowledge, and also recommended a local company. Even though I could handle this case, I said, I work in a very specific specialized area of law, and I'm very good at it, but if you're asking me something outside of the area, my opinion's gonna be barely worth more than some Joe Schmo on the street. I'm not just going to be informed about everything. I don't just know a lot of this stuff off the top of my head because it all depends on the most recent, relevant, applicable precedent. My in-laws accused me of being ungrateful, and the very ones who helped me through law school by slapping them with my legal fee. In reality, Caleb and my mother-in-law only got an extended family member to give me some general guidance, which wasn't particularly helpful. Nobody helped me in becoming a solicitor. My father-in-law was like, family helps family, which I agree with, but I believe that help must be reciprocal, and right now Hayley's not reciprocating that help. He mentioned that he knows a mechanic who would not hesitate to help without charge if it was for a friend or even a minor acquaintance, and that he does this all the time. Of course, to each their own, people are different. When it comes to me, I and a lot of my friends do particular things we still charge each other for. We might offer a discount, but when it comes down to it, we're still putting in time and effort to do it. On top of it, we consider it to be supporting each other's work. None of us expect to do anything for free unless somebody offers. In my personal experience, I 100% tell my friends to make appointments with me during work for things, and they do. We talk, everyone's happy. He then asked that I could at least give my sister-in-law an initial consultation where she tells me what the issue is, and I tell her if, it might be actionable, and then talk about where the case is and how much it would cost to continue assisting her. He said that since she has some important questions regarding the legal aspects of the divorce that she needs me to answer, as she does not want to spend extra money on legal fees. It bothered me, and I did not know if the expectation would continue even after I gave her a consultation, so I did not want to commit in the first place. Solicitors, every minute is billable. It'll cost money for me to research if she has a case. Explaining it will be a complex and may require more in-depth answers. 3 to 4 questions, then become more with follow-up. If I give it away this time, she'll come back again with one more question, over and over, and then her cousin does, then her neighbor does, and when my other friends have questions on law matters, they'll expect free advice too. It's a slippery slope. So I conveyed to my father-in-law, I'm appalled because this is beyond disrespectful. If she wants free legal assistance, she could get in touch with the local Citizens Advice Bureau for guidance. There's other options for her too. Like websites, with $5 trial periods of pay-per question that are super affordable and accessible. If they're easy questions, those resources can help her. I can also give the contact info for another solicitor who does free consultations. But if she wants my help, then I can give her a quote. I charge a modest friends and family fee, and if she doesn't want to pay for it, then she can go elsewhere and just get charged 3 times the price. It's entitled of her to expect me to do it without a fee. Well, still, they both kept these obnoxiously just forcing me to take this up. What they don't realize is when that happens, she becomes a prospective client and all kinds of rules apply. Because literally anytime I provide free advice, I enter a solicitor-client relationship that subjects me to risk, accountability, professional ethics, and malpractice claims. Even if I'm willing to donate my time and skill, there's multiple ways this could go wrong and hurt my career. Sounds unlikely? Sure. But not so much if I dish out advice to every friend who harasses me for free service. I wanted to put my foot down, but I already knew my family would think I was an a-hole for doing so. So to be diplomatic, I offered to answer a couple of quick general questions, but if there's a lot of grounds that need to be covered, I'd need to charge for specific advice. I was now labeled as selfish, totally overlooking the silent sacrifices I've made for everyone's benefit. It's ridiculous of anybody to take money off the table by asking to do it for free. One question in between might be one thing. A full consultation is outrageous. Free advice does not pay the student loan. The home seller isn't giving away the house for free, so there's no reason for me to give away my legal advice for free. I spent a crap ton of money to learn this stuff and worked hard on that degree and simply just don't want to get anything for the fruits of my labor. I earn a living, a very lucrative living, by selling my time and expertise in the field. I have no idea how my in-laws could think that it would not be appropriate to refuse to waste hours that I could otherwise be charging to represent somebody who really deserves my help. That night, Caleb asked me for help, and I knew what it was, so I said no, refusing to represent Hayley without payment. He gets furious with me and told me that I should have just said yes, what can I help you with? He ended up demanding that I reconsider and provide my services pro bono because she was struggling financially. I've talked over and over to him, but he was just stuck in his ways. I then told him that I did not think that he should force me to help Hayley with that, so he had been ignoring me all night. Well, I tried to have a conversation, but he said that there was nothing that I could say to change his mind. This made me furious, because this fight between my husband and me was triggered by Hayley. I started wondering if she's been lying all along about Sam and Maxwell. I checked with several friends of mine, and they all seem very positive about their integrity. I then met with Sam, who confided in me about his suspicions regarding Hayley's fidelity, which led to him to leave the house. He doubted that she might have been cheating on him when they were together, but he doesn't have any concrete evidence. Also, he never did anything that Hayley told me. It was all a lie. He never forbid her from anything, nor did he make any threats. I assured Sam of my support, providing the reason that she brought this upon herself by instigating my family to push me into doing unpaid labor. The next day, I made a plan and agreed to help Hayley. I noted a friends and family discount in a separate line at the bottom of the bill, making it a $0 invoice, and sent it to her just to make the point so she knows how much she wants me to do for her. I then started the divorce procedure while outwardly supporting Hayley, and I did orchestrate a move. I asked my brother to initiate an investigation into her, gather information, and brainstorm ways to find anything that might confirm or dismiss these suspicions. He soon finds out about Bernard, a guy with whom Hayley has been having an extramarital affair. They've been together since Hayley and Sam got engaged and continue to be together till now. I arranged a meeting with him, and during our conversation, he revealed that Hayley had portrayed their relationship as part of an open marriage. She first met him at a party that she said he was cute, and asked him to take her home. On the way, she told him that she had a husband, and just opened up their relationship. Well, Sam took her word for it, and it was for several years under the assumption that the relationship between them was just very casual. She spoke to him about Sam every now and then, but it wasn't that serious. Always more negative than positive. When she divorced him, she told Bernard that she did not want to marry anyone again, while she secretly married Maxwell. The concept of an open marriage is all about the awareness and consent of all parties involved. Hayley lied. When I told him this, he did not like that Hayley had been doing this behind her partner's back and was disappointed in himself for being so careless and foolish. Knowing this, I rigorously prepared Bernard for his appearance at the witness stand. He was more than willing to settle the score with her and make her pay for lying deceitfully. At the courtroom, I called Bernard into the box, pretending to be on Hayley's side, but then I ended up blowing it on her face. She was shocked seeing him there and looked really nervous and panicked. Bernard admitted having been in a relationship with Hayley and expressed all about how she lied about being in an open marriage and hid her second marriage from him. Well, she now stood up and said that it's not relevant to this case and began to fish for custody. Full custody. 51% child support, no visitation, parental rights, etc. Maxwell did not legally adopt your child, idiot. No need to demand these things, especially when it's your full responsibility to take care of your child. Anyways, she acted abusive during the divorce proceedings. The judge was lenient with Maxwell as he had no prior record of abuse. The court gave a verdict in Maxwell's favor, and Hayley ended up paying instead of receiving. When we were leaving, Maxwell thanked me while Hayley called me a tight tight-fisted a-hole. After a long and tiring day, I reached home. Caleb tells me that he's not happy with what I did. I understand how it can be hard for him to see his sister fail, but I've decided to stand my ground on this one. I told him he's supposed to side with me over Hayley, but he says he's not picking sides and it's purely just advocating for fairness and standing up for his sister. I gave him an ultimatum: accept what I did or consider separation. When I said that, he was furious. Well, that's an understatement. I really have to ask this advice because honestly, I don't know if I'm overreacting. I'm wondering if I should just apologize to everybody to be done with all this. I was wondering if anybody could relate to Hayley or me. Update number 1. Just really wanted to thank everybody who took the time to write honest advice. I truly appreciate it, and I read every single comment. I don't know what's wrong with this woman. Hayley came to me again shamelessly for help with charges on her, saying that she forgave me for what I did to her and now she really needs my help. Apparently, Maxwell filed a case against her for the distress caused. Yeah, deception, misrepresentation, or fraud could be grounds for legal action if it led to damages, financial loss, or even emotional distress. Even after boundaries, early, she's making my whole life an unpaid eternity of, quote, just a couple of quick questions. What a tightwad. I'm not doing this again. It's like having an artist friend and expecting art for free. Nah, respect my professional. I advised her of how the process typically works and had recommended some solicitors who could handle her case, but she wanted me to represent her. She was not having this. I told her that I can't just accept it if she won't pay for the years of schooling I spent studying and researching to acquire information and knowledge, and the practice it took me to help her learn the answer. And if I answer her questions, then I'll have to answer everyone's. She told me that she doesn't have a single penny even for food, as she was recently fired from her job. Their house was inherited by Maxwell before he married and Hayley, so she has no claim to it and had to move out. She's living in a shelter rooming house as the rent is so expensive here in Winchester. I offered to give her a token amount of $300 and also told her that I gave $500 to charity that helps stray dogs, just to rub it in. She refused the money and promised that she intends to repay me when she becomes employed. But I explained to her that marital fraud can be quite complicated actually. Every legal question is dependent on multiple circumstances, and very often the answer changes depending on what those circumstances are. I just needed to be 100% in the advice I'm giving her, or she may end up screwed. And I just may be screwed too if she decided to sue me over it. So I told her, it's all complicated by issues around the professional malpractice, insurance, and liability. If I give you the cuff unresearched advice due to undisclosed info, you'll follow my advice. And then later something bad might happen and there's a problem and you lose money because of it, you're going to come back to me complaining. You'll blame me for the bad legal advice and it cost you money. She immediately added that she would never do that. She assured me like 100 times, but I told her it may still cause issues. What if you think I'm now your solicitor when I don't view you as a client? Stuff like that gets so many solicitors in trouble, it makes me liable for anything that results from you following my advice, even if it was given for free. This is why we see a lot of disclaimers from solicitors on forums, because the liabilities incurred can be monetary to potentially risking our license to practice law, essentially our livelihood. I spent 6 years to become a solicitor and risked, well, it all, by potentially giving advice that could get me disbarred. No thank you. She got angry and left. While going through a conflict check, it was clear that I could not represent Maxwell because his interests conflicted with the interest of my entitled former client Hayley. This is why solicitors often decline to help friends and family. They do it for the same reason therapists often decline providing clinical advice to loved ones. It's risky, ethically dubious, and can go really badly. The next day, Hayley reached out to the firm that I joined a couple months back. She explained her financial situation and convinced them why her case was deserving of their pro bono assistance. My firm is somehow interested in her because she specifically requested me to represent her. My boss doesn't see why I should not take this up. Typically, firms cannot force a specific lawyer to take on pro bono cases, but My workplace fosters a culture that highly values pro bono work, and it could indirectly impact my performance evaluations. The senior partners are very much involved in pro bono work, so there's subtle indirect pressure on some other solicitors to follow. So I decided to help her, and she promised to compensate me in the form of a client gift once the case was won. Update number 2. Hey, this is a quick update, just to clarify and point out a few things. I don't feel like it's morally wrong to say no to requests. Even if they aren't requests. I offered to help Hayley because I didn't want to give my firm a bad impression of myself just 2 months after joining. Plus, she begged me a lot, and I don't want to continue the no contact that Caleb established with me. I'm not going to go into details because I suspect she lurks here. Also, the last 2 days have been full of love bombing from Caleb, flowers, food, permission to, quote, take the car and do whatever I want, favorite foods and drinks. Well, I won the case, but Hayley did not pay me as she promised. The client gift that she gave me was a case closed, stress ball, and a thank you gesture. I, of course, had an argument with her about this. However, the communication failed. I want to take legal action, file a lawsuit or arbitration to recover the unpaid amount. However, I cannot because this is technically my firm's case, not mine. I also can't keep the possessions of her documents, files, and other properties related to the case. Update number 3. Caleb stopped getting text messages from Hayley, so he made me join him to visit her, in case something happened. She now got a job as a special ed teacher, and I was furious as she did not make any effort to pay me. I asked her, "Oh, you teach math for disabled kids? Can my struggling friend's kid join your tuition classes without paying any fees? Can you help improve her teaching materials?" "Oh, but why not? It's a simple request." She was like, "I help people all the time, and I would feel bad for accepting payment from my friends when they need me." I told her, "Stop her acting. Aren't you going to be stingy and enforce that tuition fee by making parents pay to educate their disabled child?" "I've always helped because I tend to try to live by this standard, that if I have the ability to help somebody and choose not to, then I'm morally in the wrong, despite somebody's station and reputation, and that's just what you do for people you care about." Well, it's a nice motto to live by, but that kind of motto also runs the risk of being taken advantage of. I soon showed her that. We had discussions along the lines of, "Don't worry about paying. At some point, I'm sure I'll need your legal services and we can square up." She took part-time classes for the kid for around 5 to 6 months now. Eventually, she needed my consultation service, and while we did not discuss it, she was under the assumption that this would square us away. On top of working a full-time job over 40 hours, I worked a few more hours outside my office, even though I didn't want to use my limited personal time doing work. I papered the relationship, so there's a record of the questions I asked and the scope of legal advice given. This is both for my protection and hers. The job finished, and I dropped off an invoice of $2,500 via email and registered post. She called me and asked what the deal was. She wasn't nice about it. I argued that she just did a bunch of small favors here and there, and she could not think of, the same thing as doing a large single job. This made her so mad, and she said, "I would have been happy to help the kid out with homework, probably occasionally a favor, but I'm not waiving off the fee for the full tutoring that I provided him. And now you know how it feels, fish." Your all work for free mindset was idealistic but not realistic, as you've just now seen. Hayley is clearly operating on a double standard. She's leeched off me multiple times, but now she's reminded to respect other people's time. If she wanted to go this route, I'd pay her invoice when she paid mine. I told her that both of us could give friends discounts to each other if she thinks it'll even help. She said she needed to think about it, so I'll keep y'all posted. Update number 4. Hey guys, Hayley's decision led to threats of a lawsuit and general harassment by Hayley and her best friend. I responded that I charged her nothing for both her divorcees, plus she did not pay me to represent her for the charges from Maxwell. What if she got me the work done for her for free? Then she owed me, and I was just collecting on the debt. She said, "The difference is, it's different because it's just law stuff." which felt like I was being looked down on with what I do. So condescending. Her skill set has to be paid for, but my skill set has to be handed out for free. I didn't go to law school, get trained, and pass the bar to do that. The double standard is again very clear, and her diminishing the effort I put in on her behalf seals the deal. I told her that it's not fair at all, as she clearly did not see my abilities as worth the money in the first place. She shoots back. Educating is hard work, and that's a specialized skill. So is being a solicitor. An educator might be a great job, but solicitor work is no joke either. She's just being a stuck-up cheapskate because she's better degree, in her mind, than me, and thinks her time is worth more. I told her that if the invoice is not paid, then it'll be sent to a debt collector agency for delinquency. In the end, from what I've been told, the solicitors she contacted have advised that she never provided an estimate or any type of written payment agreement with me. Pursuing this would likely lead to her opening herself up for being liable for my invoices as well. So she paid me the $2,500. I then began letting everyone in the family and community know how my sister-in-law loves to give her classes away for free. I made sure she was getting the entire saga of the struggles of their disabled child, sibling, neighbor, etc. from everybody who learned she was a special ed teacher. When she confronted me about it, I told her, well, if a solicitor should work for free, you don't need to put a price on teaching, just give it away, or is it only your work that's worth being paid for? Long story short, with embarrassment, she ended up paying me a major part of the amount, with some help from Caleb, for all the services provided by me till now. To settle the rest of the payment, she deducted the invoice amount that I owed her for tuition services, and she also helps me with dishwashing and vacuuming whenever I need it. Okay, so this story had a lot to it. Besides everything that OP had to deal with, I want to know your thoughts about what OP did in this story. Would you have gone the same route that OP did and at the end of the day ended up helping out for free just to look better at work? I want to know your thoughts about this one, guys. If you're new to the channel, I want to welcome you. We do stories like this every single day, and they always have some sort of dramatic twist to it. Mother-in-law stories, inheritance stories, cheating stories, Karen in the Wild stories, HOA disputes. I mean, we have it all. So if you want daily videos, the best way is just to click that subscribe button. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. I'll see you tomorrow, and remember, it's cool to be kind. Peace.